And good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Steve Jones. I was in architecture for about 20 years with a firm called Burt Hill, which is now part of Stantec. And I took a jump over to Primavera and helped them with a whole web transfer that they went through. And that was a very interesting aspect, got my head really into technology more. And I've been now with what was McGraw-Hill Construction, which is currently called Dodge Data and Analytics, for 15 years. And I head up our research group. And a lot of what I focus on is the technology advances in the industry and how it's really impacting the way we deliver projects together. We're very fortunate to have the ability to study the entire industry. I mean, I know what it's like when you're working on projects day in and day out. You tend to know the projects you're working on. You might know something about the projects in the rest of your firm, but the most innovative project in the country could be going on across the street, and unless you're on it, you just have no visibility to it. So what we do is try and look at what the emerging trends are, either around technology or around sustainability or all these things happening with practice and process and managing uncertainty, different delivery systems, lean, safety, managing risk. We try and figure out among those things that are happening, which ones are really having a meaningful impact and what is it that you can do about it to take part in it. And all these things are free because they're all sponsored by Autodesk and others because they want us to go do that research and share it with everybody. So they're all up at that URL there, construction.com/toolkit. And specifically around BIM, for the last 12 years, we've been doing both regional studies where we looked at North America, Europe, Korea, Australia, China, Middle East is a new one we just did. And then vertical studies, what's it mean for infrastructure? We've done that a couple times. Just what's happening with green, just exactly what owners are doing with BIM. What are contractors doing? How are people measuring BIM? What things are they measuring and what are they coming up with? And then we just came out with one recently on water and wastewater projects. So all these things are resources for you. Please download them, take them, share them. A lot of times what's helpful is for you to talk to either senior folks in your firm or to talk to other people on project teams or to talk to owners and say, this isn't just my idea, but look, this is what a lot of your peers are saying. These are the trends. These are where people are finding scalable, repeatable, reliable kinds of benefits by getting more engaged in digital. We're here today to talk about a series that we most recently did here where it's not really so much anymore about what contractors are doing, what owners are doing, what design teams are doing. The focus now is beginning to shift, that there's getting to be enough capability throughout the industry. Now let's look at how project teams, how connect more effectively. How is a whole project team getting better? And how are individuals getting better and being more productive and useful when they can connect outwards, either connect to third-party information that's out there for analysis and simulation, connecting workflows, connecting with each other around sharing of information by using cloud-based platforms. So we did this series you see here, these three, and they're all on Microsol's website. You'll be able to get them there. We did it with 871 people. We had architects, we had engineers, we had GCs and CMs, and we went pretty deeply into the world of trades where we got not only detailers and fabricators as well as specialty contractors, because all these folks have to work much more fluidly together and can work in these integrated digital workflows much more effectively. And so we wanted to get everybody's perspective as to where we are now, what's good about it, what isn't working about it, what is it that needs to be done in order to be able to do more of these things. And we're going to talk specifically today about the first one, which is about generating better design insight by being in this connected space. What you'll see is some mention throughout. Everybody of these 871, they're all using BIM now on at least some percentage of their projects, right? So they're all in the BIM pool, but some of them, you'll see the differences between those who are still in the shallow end of the pool, meaning less than half of their projects are involving BIM, but versus those who are in what I call the deep end of the pool, where more than half of the work is in BIM. And you'll see some interesting differences between those. And part of the idea here is to see that just a lot higher level engagement does generally tend to bring a lot higher level of benefit on these various things. So the one we'll talk about today is connecting design insight. And we'll talk about the value of BIM overall, what people are are saying what your peers are saying about the value of BIM in general for improving design insight. And then we're going to get into generative design and computational design. We generate design options and analyzing them. And then the report has some examples from industry leaders, and I have another one which I've brought today to share with you, which give you a sense of how people are really fundamentally changing how they deal with their clients and go through the design construction process by leveraging these sorts of tools. So when we ask folks at a high level in terms of the fact that you're now working in a BIM-powered kind of a project, where are you getting the benefits? And we got big votes on being able to actually enable better analytical insight. 88% said that they agree with that. That BIM enables more predictable performance of the completed buildings didn't score quite as highly, but still about 3/4 of the people. And then this idea that by working in this model-driven process that we can really achieve the best possible instead of what used to be just the best practical design solution, right? You're at about 2/3 are saying that they feel that they're actually able to say that about working with BIM. So then we started getting a little bit more deeply engaged here with this idea of connecting, right, in order to be able to improve your insight. So we asked about cloud-based and digitally connected technologies. Do you think that these are critical to being able to make information useful for better insight? And we're up to about 2/3 now are saying that they do believe that that's true. Where we got a much stronger response, though, was, do you believe that there is information out there that if you could access it digitally would really be able to improve your insight? And everybody gets that, yes, there's stuff out there that if I could actually have access to it from my modeled environment, I can make better decisions, I could develop better design. So this gets us next into this idea of generating design options by using these tools. And we looked at 6 different capabilities. And what we asked about was, for each one of them, are you even aware, first and foremost, that you can do this? Okay, that there are tools available today that allow you to do it. And then among those who said they were aware, how many are using it, right? And so that kind of awareness to use is a really interesting ratio to look at things. So we looked at early stage sketching that allows you to connect the conceptual design into BIM with smart objects that then flow all the way through into later stages of design. The next one was early stage sketching that uses constructability constraints or building code requirements to drive the geometry and the behavior of models. The third was visual logic to explore parametric conceptual designs and automate tasks. And I'll show you some examples of that. And then using generative design to cycle through thousands of design choices. Right? You can test configurations, you can develop much more sophisticated solutions by using the power of computers. Right? This is what computers are meant to do. They're not going to design the thing for you, but they're going to get rid of an awful lot of combinations of parameters that aren't optimal, and they're going to get you down to a subset that you can then really focus on. And then incorporating reality capture to document existing conditions more accurately, and then integrating design with GIS data to more fully represent the whole contextual environment. So again, what we did was for each of these things, we said, are you aware you can even do this? And then for those who said they were aware, okay, are you actually doing it? So I'll show you what we found for these first two around the early stage sketching and the 2 use cases for that. This early stage sketching that connects conceptual design to BIM with smart objects, about 2/3 were aware that it exists, but among those, almost everybody was actually using it, right? And so that had a pretty high ratio of usage among those that are aware. When we asked about the next one, this idea of early stage sketching, that now you can tie this to constructability constraints, you can tie it to building code data and things like that, which will actually help you drive your geometry towards constructible and approvable and code compliant kinds of solutions. Less than half of people are aware that you can even do that. But again, among those that knew it, almost all of them were actively and are actively using that. But there's next to this idea of creating the visual logic. If you've used a tool called Dynamo, that's what that's about, to explore the parametric conceptual designs and automate tasks. And then using generative design to cycle through thousands of these kinds of design choices that get generated that way, testing them and really helping you to hone down and optimize. Only 37% of the industry out there right now is aware that you can even do that, right? So those of you who are doing it now, this should be a real competitive advantage for you. But again, boy, among those who were aware, almost everybody is actually actively using it. Now, more were aware, about half were aware of this idea of generative design, right? That computers are now set up and there are programs that do this that will generate thousands of design cycles for you, cycle through lots of these choices for you. But it's one of those things that, you know, a lot of us are aware of a number of things, but we just haven't gotten around to trying it yet, or your firm doesn't support it yet, or you don't know how to do it yet, right? So we found a really low percentage of those who are even aware of it are actually using it, right? So this looks to us like a big opportunity for growth right here. And then looking at the reality capture, you know, laser scanning or digital photogrammetry, things of that nature, or integrating with GIS data for that kind of contextual awareness. About half the folks we talked to are aware that you can do this stuff with laser scanning and things, and about 3/4 of those are using it. And it was somewhat similar in terms of about half were also aware that it's possible to work with GIS data. And I know that a company called Esri, which is really the leader in GIS data, has recently announced an alignment and an association with Autodesk. So I think you're going to see a lot more coming together between those two of how can you bring GIS information into the modeling environment. But I wanted to really spend some time here now on this idea of the generative design cycle, because we dug a little deeper on this. We asked about the benefits, and we asked about how it can be improved, and we also talked to, wanted to know the folks who weren't using it, why they weren't using it. All right, and so as I showed you, about half said that they are aware of, and among those who are aware, 28% said that they're not using, and really only 8% said that they're using it, I would say, in the deep end of the pool, right? They're using it for more than half of their projects. And so this looks to us like this is a real ground floor opportunity here to get in early on something. It's like I'm here telling you to buy Amazon before it goes public, you know. This really will be a very formative part of our industry going forward. So from those who, that group that is using it, we asked them to tell us about that. So that those who are saying that they get these, we tend to give people a choice when we put a benefit in front of them. We say you're not getting it at all, or low, or medium, high, or very high. These are the folks who said, how many said they're getting it at a high or very high level? Are you able to engage your clients more effectively? Do you find that now you can repeat successful design approaches, right, and put this on similar projects, or find solutions for projects that are then applicable to different project types, right? So we weren't getting huge numbers on these, but you know, they're certainly respectable numbers, and these are things which are going to grow over time, because these are the kind of the baked-in value propositions of working this way. Then we asked about the impact on the design solutions themselves. Can you improve quality control? That one scored really, really well. Then producing more constructible design solutions also did well. Discovering solutions for project issues and being able to wrestle with design problems more effectively, producing design solutions that are within budget, more design alternatives, and more sustainable design solutions. And lastly, we looked at that downstream impact, all right, on the actual production, construction, operation. When you're engaged in generative design, are you finding benefits here? The majority are saying that they're actually able to produce a better coordinated set of A&E documentation. And let me tell you, as somebody who works with contractors a lot, right, this is a issue of contention here. The more that you can do effective coordination in advance of what you turn over to them, just the better it is for the entire workflow. And similar kinds of numbers for then, as a result, actually helping the contractor understand your design intent. Still majority, again, in terms of improving the functionality of the completed building, positively impacting budget control, reducing errors and omissions in the documentation, Not so much reporting yet on reducing errors in field installation, but still 41%, not bad. So we said, all right, what is it that needs to improve in order for the level of benefit to be able to actually increase? And we put this list out and we asked people to say, what's the first, what's the second, what's the third? And so you can see these color-coded here. Obviously, better ease of use deployment, that's going to be typical with almost any new software, right? That is in most of the studies that we do, that scores pretty high. And the idea of the ability to make it interoperate. The ability to explore more design options, right? And so this is something that Autodesk has taken to heart, and they're working on their software to do that. Microsol can certainly support the training on it. And then examples of people solving building problems with what are known as design scripts, and then access on multiple devices and the web. So when we ask the folks who are aware of it but haven't gotten around to using it yet, a lot of folks don't see how it applies yet to their projects. And so I think part of the job is going to be, and I'll show you a few examples later on, but to actually demonstrate to people how this could apply. And we saw that happening with the growth of BIM. All people needed to see was, oh, that's what it does. Oh, that's how it works. Oh, that's how my process is going to be better. And that really led to a lot more adoption. So the sense that it doesn't apply is really probably not as much of an educated decision as it is that folks don't yet understand how it could apply. It's insufficient training, again, of something that an outfit like Microsol has set up beautifully to help you do. And then the other ones were relatively small, not understanding it, tried it, but decided not to use it. It's only 11%. When we ask that typically of people who aren't using something, we want to find out how many people stuck their toe in the pool and then pulled back out. That's a really low number. That's good and encouraging. If that was 60%, we'd have a problem. So this idea now of being able to, after you've been able to generate lots of ideas, how do you analyze them? And so we looked at these insight capabilities for analyzing building performance during the conceptual design stage. Can you access a comparison building performance workflow that allows you to run millions of design scenarios, ranges, and specifications, see energy savings with immediate interactive cause and effect kind of feedback? And you run performance analyses in the cloud, right, using the power of the cloud, so you're not tying up your own computing power locally. Can you evaluate design options against industry building performance benchmarks? Can you use computational design to algorithmically model and simulate the behavior of a design option? All right, so each of these things definitely enable fast and effective analysis. So we did the same sort of set of questions that we did on the generative design around, okay, are you aware that this even exists? And then among those who are you using it? So in terms of the analyzing and accessing the workflow, a lot of people were aware, and a reasonable amount are actually using it, around 2/3 or 3/4. But in terms of being able now to access comparison building performance workflow with immediate kind of interactive feedback, almost nobody knew it even existed. But over half of those, even though it's small, were using it. The performance analysis in the cloud and bouncing against industry benchmarks. 60% were aware, but only about 2/3 were actually using it. And then it really did drop off again pretty strongly around this idea of being able to go against some industry benchmarks out there, bring those into your modeling environment and actually compare against them. Only 30% even knew you could do that. But among those who were, 3/4 are using it. Then this idea of computational design to algorithmically model and simulate behavior. We did the awareness and use, and we also asked among those who are using it to talk about the benefits. And so you can see here about 2/3 were aware that that's even possible to do, and about half of those are doing it. But those who are doing it, we asked them to talk about these benefits and rate. Are you getting it at a very high level, medium level here? We were really getting pretty strong results of people getting the benefits of it. So this is very promising. right? And it's relatively early days, but extremely promising as a fresh way to approach an awful lot of the complex problems on projects. So as I said, I was going to share with you, there's a few that are in the report, but this idea of setting parameters in a computational environment to drive a design and to give you lots of different options and help support you through decision, this is really common in manufacturing. This has been done in the manufacturing world for 20 years now. So it's not like this is a brand new way to approach something. Right? This is something that's basically being optimized for manufacture by the manufacturing techniques that were available for it, and boom, there you go. The guy designed and 3D printed a drone. So it's really a matter of how do you take a very well-established technology and bring it into our industry. So there's an organization in the Netherlands that they were engineers and contractors, and they just got tired of waiting around for the design team to finish a design, get it fully approved for them to then take it and put it through the processes that they needed to in order to build it. So they just took it upon themselves to completely vertically integrate the entire process, starting with Format, and I'll show you how that goes. They're now in a whole new business. They can sit down with an owner at a table, right, during the initial stages. And if that owner can give them parameters, about the parking garage structure, the number of cars that they would want, the rental rates that they would have the parking rates for the cars, they can add to it the cost to it because they are contractors. Basically, they'll go through this process sitting there with the owner live, right, and saying, here's your site, right, and we're using Dynamo for the parameters. We're bringing this in. We're putting it right on your site. We can change the size. We can change these. The parameters will feed us information live as we go here to allow you to explore lots of different design options that would make sense, right? Because this idea of the mystery of design, where the client gives you a program, the design team goes off and comes up with something and comes back with it. It's really going to be better to engage the client live with the parameters and come up with lots of different options that would actually work, but be able to see which ones make sense for you. You can weight, as the owner can weight their own parameters in terms of the importance. But it's so fast now to be able to do this stuff. And then once you get the owner in a certain direction, you've already got all the information you need right there in Dynamo to basically bring it right into Revit and develop the model for the approved project. And it is a seamless flow that now this one company has essentially put themselves in this design build business. Yes, it's parking structures, not the most complex thing in the world, but I think it's a pretty important proof of concept. They use something called I2 for their estimating platform, but it's seamlessly integrated into all this stuff. And they're able to take this all the way through to all the quantity extraction, all the estimation they need to do. They've got the model, and they can basically make it into a construction model. And they're basically pushing this into a 5D environment to go out and complete the project that they sat down at a conference table with an owner and jointly designed it together. So this is all possible to do today. This is not science fiction. This is a firm doing this. And, what a competitive advantage this is for them. Very powerful. So there's other examples in the report. If you can please download it and take a look at it, how people are doing benchmark analysis, how people are applying parametric logic, how people are doing wind analysis, they're doing glare analysis with the kinds of tools that are available, how reality capture features into what people are doing to solve problems, even with renovations, more efficiently and more effectively. So the key takeaways here is these capabilities are definitely available. Even though you may not be aware of them, you're not alone in not being aware of them, but in most cases, the people who were aware of them, they're using them. They're getting the benefits out of them. The adoption is increasing. And so those who are in that pool, they're actively implementing, and they're definitely experiencing benefits, and some of them are creating new business opportunities for themselves by being aggressive about that.